Hey, I'm Mike. Welcome to Didn't Make It. So I just finished a review video for the QIDI Q1 Pro printer. It's the newest printer in their lineup, and overall, it's a nice printer. It's solidly built, has good print quality as well, and the list goes on. Now, normally when I do a review, I find a whole bunch of problems. For this printer, I really only had two issues that I wanted to work on. One is the spool holder, which is just a little bit too flexible over this distance, especially with a full spool attached. And the other is that the printer didn't come with a carbon filter, though there is a printable option available. Now, since I printed the carbon filter already, I'm just going to stick with what I did. So in this video, we're going to create our own ultimate spool holder or spool holders for this printer so you can download it and print it yourself. So stick around. I'm on a mission to get to 100,000 or more subscribers by 2025, and we're making steady progress towards that goal, but I could really use an extra push to get to that number. So every subscription helps, and of course those likes and those comments are always appreciated as well. So let's get into it. So this is what we're working with from stock for this printer. And you can see here, this is the cylinder that holds the spool, and this is a removable piece as well. This is supposed to be the lock to keep the spool on. And then there is an arm as well. And then there is a bracket on the back which mounts everything to the printer. This is a little bit too flexible. So here I have a spool that's not completely full, but it's pretty close. And I believe it's supposed to sit here, but there is the possibility that it can also sit here. And you can see right away that it's sitting on a pretty severe angle. It's probably about 4 or 5 degrees off of being level. What's going to happen is when the printer gets into a zone where it is resonating, this can start to bounce around. Now, of course, it is still connected here, but if this falls to the floor, it's going to be a pretty big mess. I think it's just better to avoid this problem. I'm going to get this prepped to do a 3D scan and see if I can get a fairly accurate scan of this side and the back of the printer as well, maybe even the top, just so we have something that we can start to work with. So these 4 screws are plastic screws. There is no metal behind this area, so we're screwing directly into the plastic, and it's not thin plastic, luckily. So we could just go ahead and try and 3D scan this, but I have a feeling that it just isn't going to give us great results. We really need to prep the surface properly, and to do that, I'm basically going to put some makeup on it. So to get the makeup to stick, I'm just going to use a little bit of hairspray. And I also have these little TPU plugs, and then I don't need to clean these holes. If anybody's interested, this is Tresemme. Ooh la la. Ooh. So for the scanning, I'm going to be using Polycam. So far, for me anyways, the testing that I've done, this is the one that works the best. And I'm just going to focus on this side, and I'm going to focus on the back corner there. That's really all that I need. Squeaky clean. And from that 3D scan, I was able to create this model, and from this model, I was able to create this, which is going to be far more usable. And I don't need this detailed model just for this one video, but I have some other ideas for this printer, and this model is going to open up a lot more possibilities down the road for that. So it's more like an investment and hopefully not just a huge waste of time, at least not yet. I'd like to replace the existing bracket, and we're going to have a spool coming right off of the back. And this is what I came up with. It's pretty simple. It prints upside down on this face. It's printed in one piece as well, and it's going to easily handle the spool without too much movement. I've also peaked the holes, so we don't need to worry about supports, and we also don't have to worry about bridging no matter which material we're printing with. The design takes advantage of some simple rules to keep the spool in place through any sort of movement that the printer can throw at it. And I also wanted this to be small but strong, so it doesn't cost much money or time to print. And I also didn't want to modify the printer at all if I could avoid it. So let's go ahead and get this part going. This one is printed with Bambu PETG carbon fiber in malachite green, and you can see that the holes are working perfectly with this peaking method. This is printed with 6 walls and 35% cubic infill, 6 tops and 6 bottoms as well. So it's going to be a pretty heavy duty part. It's all finished and it's looking pretty good. It's too bad that this is going to be hidden at the back of the printer. So let's go ahead and get this mounted. And I believe this is large enough. We'll try it on a Prusament spool as well. If you haven't seen my previous video, I will link it up above there, but I tested some heavy-duty ABS parts with 8 walls, 45% gyroid infill, and this printer with the heated build chamber has no problem keeping those parts flat. So I can print ABS fearlessly now, which is pretty nice because ABS has some nice properties to it, and I want to take advantage of those in the future. I went ahead and reprinted the new version. And this is in ABS, and this has a 0.06 by 0.06 fuzzy skin on it, and it turned out really nice. That would be near perfection. So this one has a slight modification here. It provides a little bit more resistance to this coming off. I've radiused this corner as well, so it just helps to kind of guide it back towards the center a little bit more. And that's it. Pretty simple, sturdy, looks good, and it blends in nicely. To test out the updated version, I had already modeled the original removable spool shaft, so for no other reason that I took the time to model it and I wanted to see how it printed out, I'm going to be using this as the test. I just finished the test using the new spool holder. This is just some PET G, and look at how smooth that is. So I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to create the ultimate solution, and I'm going to print it out of ABS since it looks really good with ABS. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. There are some small design adjustments that I want to make, and I will definitely do that shortly, but let's get this mounted on there. And this screw needs to come out as well because we'll be using that. So this was a little bit unexpected. This hole is not for an M3 screw, it's for an what looks like M2.5. It's very tough to tell the difference, but it is slightly smaller. And unfortunately, I don't have that size of screw, so I'm going to have to just carefully tap this out. That's what I was looking for, nice and strong. So you can either tap the hole like what I did, or you can buy M2.5 by 12 millimeters and that will do the job. Let's see how this works. Okay, so we can go with either this side. Now whether this needs a little bit of an extension of a tube, it doesn't look like it's going to need it, but it might be a good idea to add it anyway. You can definitely still use the back. Unfortunately, with the positions of the screws, I wasn't able to get this to a point where I was comfortable having a spool both mounted on the side and on the back at the same time. I'm going to print the test print with carbon fiber PET G. I don't think there is a material that looks better than this, but if there is, I want to know about it. So obviously the spool stayed on, there was no trouble printing whatsoever, and I just wanted to show you one more thing. Take a look at how far out of level this printer is. And again, this is because I'm in the garage in the workshop and the floor is sloped to the outside, probably 3 or 4 degrees out of being level. So this should be the worst case scenario. So now I'm pretty confident that this is going to work for everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get the updated version mounted. Does this look good? Well, I can let you be the judge of that, but I think it turned out pretty nice and it should do the job really well. There is one more thing. This part needs a good name, something that just rolls off the tongue. So I settled on Monkey Bar for the single and Monkey Bars for the double. And of course, I need to pay tribute to the animal that inspired this design, which is the proboscis monkey with the big nose. I have 3 models available for free to download on MakerWorld. I have the Monkey Bar, the Monkey Bars, and I also have one more version with only the side mount if you'd like to get your printer as close to the wall as possible. That's called the Monkey Bar Slim. If you'd like to print your own, please use PETG, ABS, PETG carbon fiber, or something similar, because this printer has the heated build chamber, and if PLA is in contact with it, it could soften over time. Also, these are to be printed as heavy-duty parts, and I have print profiles set up already for each of these models. If this is a printer that interests you, I will have a link down there in the description below. A portion of any sale from that link goes towards this channel and helping to make more content and better content as well. Thank you to each of my patrons for supporting this channel and helping to make videos like this possible. And if you want to help out as well, there is a link down there in the description below. Take care, everybody. We will see you on the next one.